podcast is brought to you by Diversum Partners, where your success is their priority. Partner with Diversum to access trusted top-tier crypto and fiat affiliate programs and get a custom deal tailored just for you. Join today at diversumpartners.com.
If you don't have a community, you cannot show trust. You need to show transparency on what you're doing. So that's why community is incredibly important.
You're listening to the Affiliate Marketing Podcast brought to you by affiliatemedia.com, the chapter and verse of everything you need to know about running a successful affiliate program for your business. Now, here's your award-winning affiliate and performance marketing host, an industry veteran, your affiliate marketing guide, and the founder of Affiverse, Lee-Ann Johnstone.
In the Wild West of crypto marketing, community isn't just a buzzword. It's the secret sauce that separates the wheat from the chaff. Today, we're unveiling the hidden strategies behind building a tribe that doesn't just follow, but evangelizes your brand. Today's guest, René Ackermann, the dynamo behind MBG Digital's social and community strategies, is about to spill the beans on crafting video campaigns that stick like glue in your audience's mind. Ever wondered how UFC legend Michael Bisping became the face of a crypto brand? René's got the inside scoop. We're diving deep into the art of authentic engagement in a space where trust is volatile as the markets. You'll discover how your next big marketing move might be hiding in a Telegram group and how to turn casual scrollers into die-hard community members. This journey into the heart of crypto community building is one that you simply can't miss. Hello and welcome everyone to another exciting episode of the Affiliate Marketing Podcast, where we deep dive into the world of digital innovation, marketing, and community building. I'm your host, Lee-Ann Johnstone, and today we have a really special guest joining us. She's a powerhouse in the world of social and community management, especially in the fast-paced and ever-evolving crypto space, which is the theme of this season. Please welcome this week, René Ackermann, the head of social and community at MBG Digital. René, it's a pleasure to have you on the podcast with me today.
Hi, everyone, and thank you very much for having me, Lee-Ann.
So you're going to hear we both have a South African accent, which is a treat for me. So really looking forward to having you and chatting all about the things that we're going to be talking about today. Now, René has been instrumental in shaping how crypto-focused brands engage with their communities, leveraging everything from high-profile ambassadors like UFC's Michael Bisping to cutting-edge video content that really captures the imagination of the audiences that they are attracting. And today we're going to be discussing why community building is so crucial to the crypto industry and how to create impactful video campaigns and much more. So without further ado, let's jump right in. René, it's such a pleasure to have you here. But before we get started with all the value bombs that you're going to be dropping, tell us a little bit about yourself and your experience in the industry and how you landed up at MBG Digital.
I started in crypto when I moved to Binance from Fiat Casino. They actually had like a crypto casino at the time, which was one of their kind of side projects because they have many other businesses which have different CEOs. So I applied for a job for crypto games and I got a reply pretty much immediately, which I was quite impressed by because I didn't really think I had the experience, but they didn't exactly say it was for a casino, right? So when I got the interview, then they told me it's for a casino, so then it all made sense. But that's after a year of just trying to apply for different crypto companies to try and get into the industry because I had a massive passion for it. Then from there, they ended their relationship with this crypto casino. So I had a choice between multiple teams and I chose the global social team, which is probably one of the biggest crypto communities in the world, I would say, at the time anyway. And from there, they realized I like to do video content. And then I started managing a lot of the video, like TikTok. They didn't have anyone who was managing their YouTube channels or any of the video content on all their global social channels. So yeah, that's how I got there. And then from there, I moved to a crypto gaming platform, which was not casino, but actually like a Web2 game moving into Web3. And then it was carbon credits on the blockchain. And then I decided I want to go back to something that is also crypto, but also something that's familiar, that's fun. And that's how I ended up at MBG.
Okay. So a bit of a varied lot of backgrounds there, and obviously testing and learning as you were going through your career. But I wanted to start our conversation this week about community, because one thing I've learned looking into the crypto space is that community building is incredibly important and the crypto community is quite tight-knit. So what do you think is particularly important in this industry compared to others, compared to fiat casinos, fiat gaming companies? And how does it influence the overall success of crypto-focused brands when you're focusing on building that community?
So what's important about community building is it creates trust, right? People need to go somewhere where they can communicate with other people who are involved in it. And it's not only just the trust, it's the community in general. As social media has grown, it's so important these days for people to be a part of a community, whether it's Telegram or Discord or Reddit, depending on whatever your favorite part of it is, right? But the biggest thing is if you don't have a community, you cannot show trust. You need to show transparency on what you're doing. So that's why community is incredibly important. And it also is a great place to share, and people share their experiences. So again, that is also very transparent. So that's why it's very important.
Now we're seeing a shift in that as well, because I know we talk about community in iGaming. We've got such a lot of jargon in our industry, but making your customers into advocates for your brand is like a tale as old as time. And it's starting to actually make a fashionable comeback, where we actually get customers involved in the actual brand, and community building is part of that process. It's actually a really important part of marketing, because if your community is strong around your brand and they're advocates for your brand, you actually end up spending less elsewhere in other digital channels to bring customers in. Now, you've used community building and ambassadors, and we're going to talk a little bit about some of the stuff that you're doing with Michael Bisping to engage the community that you're building around your brands. How do you leverage high profile figures? Because when do you know is the right time to get in? What's the strategy behind actually using these big personalities to help engage and build that community around your brand? What role does video content play in all of that? So I know I've just thrown 3 questions at you there, but maybe just start at the beginning. When's the right time to actually think about engaging with a brand ambassador to engage that community that you're building?
When your platform is at a point where it's right, of course, nothing is ever perfect and there's always ways to build on it and improve, but you don't really want to go into a brand ambassador time when people don't know how to deposit or they're struggling with certain things, right? When your platform's at a time where you're ready to kind of show your brand as a higher class to others, then using a brand ambassador like Michael Bisping is also, again, to show that you're the real deal. You're making an effort. You're creating great content with someone who has a great personality, and you're making a huge effort compared to just throwing a casino out there and just asking people, hey, and working with affiliates, hey, deposit, you know what I mean? So it creates, again, a trust element of it. So that's why it's important.
So having your brand established first and having your product established first is really the first step. You can't just launch a brand and then go straight into ambassadorship, because it's not going to correlate if customers can't deposit, if they're not having a good user experience, if the customer service experience isn't ironed out, if your payment methods aren't integrated properly to actually convert customers around the world. So it seems to be it's more of a established process of marketing rather than launching and just connecting to somebody else, because that's not really enough. It seems like the strategies that you guys have built at MBG are actually to take the brand values and to take the brand community and align it to somebody that actually also sees and feels and has the same values as what the community does. So why Michael Bisping? Talk us through why you guys chose to connect with a personality like him.
He's amazing to work with. He's super funny. He loves to create content. He's done so much and he's been through so much. If you think about it, he lost his eye. He recently told me that he's in hospital for a disc replacement. And he's always so positive and just a great human to work with and to deal with. He's a great ambassador because he brings a lot of positivity. And then, of course, there's the UFC, which is a massive thing, right? That's initially, from my idea anyway, I joined and then the ambassadorship started and then I got involved in it. But working with him, that would be my perspective of it.
So what are some of the ideas that you've had to leverage his personality and his profile? Because a lot of people think that working with an ambassador is that you're piggybacking off of their following, basically. But it goes a little bit deeper than that. So talk through some of the strategies that you guys have come up with, working with Michael as the human and understanding what he likes to do and what he gets a kick out of actually creating, and how you've merged that back to fit with your brand. How did that process start? Did you just sit down and have a chat, or did you have a very clear understanding of what you wanted to get?
I can tell you from the part of creating the first production, right? We had multiple ideas on what we wanted to do. I mean, one was even Martha Stewart, Snoop Dogg kind of thing. So we went through a few ideas and we asked what would he be happy with doing. So in the end, we ended up getting a boxing ring. We branded it all and we just created really great content. It was an 8-hour day of filming. We also started learning what he likes to do and what he doesn't like to do, because of course he's a very busy person. So it's kind of hard to always have a sit down first. But through that, we also have had multiple other times with him. We went to Vegas where we did a meet and greet, which was completely off the back of his time. It's not something that was agreed. Then in Manchester, we had a drink with Mike in a pub and with Daz, which Daz is the person that trained him for a long time, which he also just did completely by himself. It's also getting to understand the partnership because each one is very different, right? It's also understanding what's convenient for them, but at the same time, trying to find that middle ground where you're like, hey, do you mind doing this? And then, no, actually, I don't mind. But then trying to also fit it into their schedule as well.
So it sounds to me like when you decide to embark on an ambassador program for your brand, whether it's your affiliate program or your customer-facing profile, whatever it is, it really is a marrying of two humans. It's not, here's the brief, go and do this, and we're paying you to do it, which is how everybody thinks about ambassador, like partnership management. But it's more about a collaborative experience in terms of what you need as the marketer for your brand and what they are willing to actually do. And it sounds like a lot of the organic stuff is the stuff that actually works. So your job or your role as the community manager and the content creator is to really understand the ambassador that you've been given and then figure out what makes them tick, what makes them happy and excited to get up every morning. And if it is just sitting in a pub and having a conversation, how do you use and leverage that content to bring it to your audience and then make them part of that scene almost through video? Is that the correct understanding?
Yeah, so basically it's a human understanding, right? 100%. And then it's the content is not necessarily based on, hey, play at Lucky Block or a casino or anything like that. It's more about reaching people who are interested in what he's done and who he is, and also reaching people who are within that genre, MMA and boxing and all that kind of stuff, right? It's about not direct marketing, it's indirect marketing. It's about like interesting content. So that's what we always strive to create when we work with him.
And also, I suppose it's about brand association, because another thing that community marketing is really bringing to the fore in affiliate is the fact that brand marketing and affiliate marketing have to go hand in hand together. And I've seen this many times in my career where we've launched a campaign or a new brand. And even if you put £100,000 in the first day of marketing activity, if your brand is not established and customers don't know it, and that is a slow process, building brand is not something that you just turn on day one. It still doesn't impact the business in a positive way to throw a whole bunch of money against it. So the strategy behind how you launch your programs, how you build your brands, has to be thought out, and it has to have an evolution. It has to take a storyline from day one, we're going to launch this, day two, we're going to do some paid advertising, month 3, we're going to launch our affiliate program, and only in month 8 or 9 or 12 are we looking at ambassadors. And I see a lot of brands actually do this in the wrong order. So it's quite interesting to hear how the ambassador partnership experience has to naturally evolve and happen with the partner that you're bringing in. What about the kind of role of video content? Because I want you to take us behind the scenes of how you create a successful video campaign and how do you conceptualize and execute? Are you quite organic with the way that you do it? Because Michael is quite good at creating content and doing stuff off the cuff. Or have you had other ambassadors that you've worked with where you've had to actually curate things?
With Michael, the process is basically from the start was just creating a brief on what we want to do, connecting with production companies, and then finding the right production company, right? And we were very lucky to find a really great one, which is in Manchester. And they're just so professional and they make amazing content. They come up with amazing ideas, and then together we think about the ideas. But on the actual shoot, it's Mike in a pub having a drink. It is very kind of natural and organic, but everything else that's planned, like lighting, the runners, the camera people, it's very thought out.
Methodical.
Yeah. So like you'll be there the day before already to make the whole set. And then on the day he comes for maybe an hour and you do it.
So there's an element of planning that's required. There's an element of going with the flow. So you need to be quite like sharp at your wits if you want to do this job and you want to actually be a community builder, because there's a lot of planning, a lot of effort for a very short amount of like real time, basically. And from that real time, you've got to extrapolate and make a whole campaign. So it needs to have a little bit of forethought before you just jump right into this, by the sounds of things. Now, what are some of the challenges that you face when you are looking to have an ambassador that supports your program and builds your community with either affiliates or players? Depends on who's listening to this podcast. But I've seen some great brand ambassadors with affiliate programs in the iGaming industry. Never really seen that in the e-commerce space, but maybe if you're listening to this podcast, it's, really good insights here to think outside the box. But what are some of the challenges that you've faced working with ambassadors and building communities? Like, what are some of the things that people need to really look out for and maybe not make the same mistakes that you have testing all of this?
I think there's no such things as mistakes. It's only learnings, right? I would say you need a solid contract. You need to also understand what is completely agreed, right? We have multiple football partnerships and there's a lot of back and forth when it comes to just making an image about a football team playing another football team. We have to get it approved. If there's a video, we have to get it approved. It has to have a certain kit. They have to have the right kit. It needs to be the right players. You can't have the old manager. There's a lot of that back and forth. So procedure of how that's done would be good to put in place right from the start. What do you do when you want to make a social media post? So when you want to do that, you need to have this and this in very simple terms. And this is the procedure. That way you can plan ahead. I would say that is probably one of the challenges. And then also sometimes it could be working with agencies and then they work through a manager. For example, you have an agency, then you have a manager, and then you've got the talent. And then things can get blurred. With Mike, I've created a relationship with him. I just message him. I'm like, hey, do you want to do this? So that's why, again, the human aspect is important. But of course, with large football teams, that's a completely different story. So it's not always the same for each partnership. You have to read one differently.
But I think also deciding when do you get to that kind of Premier League level of ambassadorship and when do you actually go a little bit more indie and think about, is there an ambassador or a talent person out there that would work just as well because they are alternative? So there's also having that understanding of what's going to really resonate with your audience, because you don't have to go full throttle Premier League, top of the range, Kim Kardashian. You can do all of this with a much smaller budget as well, but just as long as it's being done at the right time. That's the learnings that I'm picking up from you on this podcast today.
It also depends on what markets you're going in, right? Your market is LATAM, for example, then you want to find someone who's popular there. Then you can come up with fun ideas, video ideas, TikTok, IG Reels, where that person will be then doing it in their languages to that specific market. And then, of course, that is a bit more indie. You need to think out of the box. You need to think, what are other people not doing? And also, it's really important for your brands to have an identity and understand what those identities are. Because once you understand what the identity is, then you can fit either an indie ambassador or a bigger one to it.
We spoke about challenges. We spoke about when's the right time. We spoke about some of the strategies that go behind creating the content that builds this community. But video seems to be the preferred medium right now on social. That seems to get the most views, the most results, efforts. What are some of the behind the scenes insights that you can share about creating authentic and effective video content? Because a lot of the people listening to this podcast, they're probably not using video to its full potential to actually grow their program, engage affiliates, engage new customers. And any kind of tips that you can give them would be really helpful.
One of my biggest tips is have fun. There's so many fun trends and stuff that you can find on TikTok and Reels that you can jump onto and just edit it a bit to suit your brand, because that's also an indirect way for people to find your brand. Definitely have fun with it. Again, think of out of the box, like Martha Stewart and Snoop Dogg. Think of stuff that no one else is doing, or think of stuff that's been done before, but change it a little bit towards your way. So yeah, I would say that would be my advice. And also, I found that when I'm on TikTok and I see a really cool trend and I just edit it with a green screen, it always does super well. Not necessarily always on TikTok, but on IG Reels. So don't be disheartened if it doesn't do well on one platform. Put it on all of them and see how they do, right?
In your opinion right now, what do you think is the social channel that's blowing up, especially for the industry that you're in?
I would say Telegram for sure, because there's so many things that you can implement there now that people can play on there without even leaving it. And yeah, that's what I would say. It's definitely really big because of the fact that you can actually play on the actual app.
There's less friction. and the customer doesn't have to actually leave the platform. And the beauty of Telegram is that it's in everybody's pocket.
Yeah, exactly. So you can just play while you're walking down the street.
Okay, so I want to get into the community values of crypto specifically, because a lot of people listening to this podcast aren't in the crypto community, but they're looking at blockchain, Web3. They're trying to understand how to get into that niche. What are some of the most effective content streams that work for these clients? Because they do seem to be of a different mindset to the traditional kind of gamer, player, whatever you want to say. So what have you seen that's actually worked really well for you guys that exponentially grew your brand values with that community? Is there anything that anybody can take away from this and maybe go think about to see if they can implement in their own business?
Well, I think education is really important. We're currently working on an educational series, which is also a video series. So instead of going to FAQ and reading a long thing on how to deposit, how to withdraw, and so on, we're actually creating videos that people can just easily watch, and they're less than 30 seconds long. So it actually shows them the steps. So education is really important, and making things easy for people is really important. But my advice also to anyone who wants to get, into crypto or buy their first cryptocurrency or anything like that is the best way to learn is actually by doing. That's the only way to learn, really, because it is something that a lot of people can't wrap their head around. That's why it's really important to give education, and it's really important to just try.
I think that's the thing is people, they don't understand it, so they don't want to try it. But if they understand it, they will try it, and they'll see how easy and frictionless it is to actually open up a crypto wallet, for example. It's literally a matter of clicks on the phone. But because it's still sitting out there in the ethernet, it's not really mainstream yet. I think people are not thinking about how to integrate some of these strategies into their marketing campaigns and talking to affiliates that are already in this space and connecting with consumers, because you're cutting yourself off from those customers who are into the crypto community, and they're actually very valuable customers. Some of the people that I speak to, the numbers of what crypto customers spend online and do online is very different to people with a credit card. And so you're missing out on an opportunity to actually capture this niche audience and engage with them. So success in marketing is always about measurement, and it's the same in the affiliate space. So how do you gauge the success of community-driven video campaigns and working with ambassadors? What are the key metrics and KPIs that you're always looking at to say, yes, this campaign was a success?
Ultimately, everything comes down to acquisition, right? But for me and my team, we are all about brand. So for us, it's engagement, it's growth, impressions. Sometimes we do giveaways that have 2 million impressions plus, maybe even more, just off the top of my head, because we work with influencers to promote those giveaways. So it's all about people seeing the brand. And that is what our main focus is, even though always the ultimate idea is acquisition.
Yeah. And I guess that follows the simple rule of go where your people are. My generation of marketers has always thought about how do I pull people to me? Whereas your generation of marketer is how do I go to where the people are? So what platforms do I need to use? What platforms do I engage in? What channels do I need to communicate in? And so I think we need to take both schools of thought and merge them together and create really good strategies, because both are right, but in their own way. I'm not going to say that how you do marketing is wrong and how I do marketing is right, but we need to merge them into the middle a little bit. Both schools of thought need to come together now, because all the channels are mixing the customer journey up. So customers aren't just coming to your brand from one place anymore, i.e. the internet. They're now coming to you from social, from Facebook, from Instagram, from Reels, from TikTok, Telegram, all sorts of chat platforms. It's becoming more difficult. And so you have to go to where your customer is and take that message to them rather than making them come to your website to sign up. So finally, looking into the future, what trends do you see are emerging in the intersection of video content and community building, especially in the crypto marketing space, which is the theme of this season? How are you guys positioning yourself to stay ahead of the curve in this rapidly evolving landscape?
I'm going to go back to what I said earlier. It's about indirect marketing, right? It's about coming up with ways to reach people without shoving it in their face. I mean, if you think about brands like Red Bull, if you go to any of their platforms,
Never talk about the drink.
they never talk about the drink. And that is the key thing. You need to come up with ways to basically promote your brand in a way that people will come back every day to watch a video or to come to your socials because maybe you have fun memes or whatever, not just, oh, there's a bonus today, or on Saturday there's another bonus, or bet now. That is really, I would say, the future, because that's what people want. They want entertainment. And then they'll be like, oh, this is cool. What is this brand? And then they'll also find it indirectly.
So I think that's also a really good point, because what I'm taking away from that is people's attention spans have got a lot shorter, and they're not necessarily looking for what you're selling, but what they are looking for is entertainment, humor, whatever it is, like something to distract them, something that makes them take note and pay attention. And I think we get caught up in the product, in trying to sell the product versus trying to sell the experience around the product. So it's like features and benefits. When we talk to content writers, they always say, don't just write about the features, talk about the benefits as well. And I think we need to think about that in our affiliate programs too, because the experience that we're giving affiliates to come and work with us is sometimes extremely poor when you think about all the effort that goes into making a customer love you and want to come and play. And I think we can take a lot of what you've shared in community building today and plug that into affiliate programs and actually create really great user experiences for the partners that are referring customers to you. Because when they become brand ambassadors for your brand, and when they believe in the brand and get treated as part of the brand, as an extension of the brand, they will in turn take those messages out to the masses, to the people that they're talking to in all of the niche communities that they're promoting in, and bring those customers to you as well. So community building is here to stay. I think it's a really important part of affiliate marketing as well as direct acquisition marketing. But understanding how to leverage that into your program is just as important too. It has been an absolute pleasure to talk to you and to hear what goes on behind the scenes when you're working with ambassadors and how you guys are building your community and the content that you're driving through. Where can people have a look at some of the content that you're creating? What are your most popular channels?
Definitely Telegram and Twitter, but also YouTube. One of the things I wanted to add as well is all of our brands, we do massive giveaways, right? But one of them is more like a VIP brand. So we basically give away these VIP experiences, like go to Formula One, go to America's Cup. And then what we do is we actually go and film and we show people what they could experience if they won one of these giveaways. So it actually gives like a point of view aspect of what you can do if you actually win one of these giveaways. And you don't need to be a VIP to win a giveaway. The social giveaways, anyone can enter. It doesn't matter if you're playing on the brand or not. So it's open to everyone, but it still shows this amazing experience, once in a lifetime experience that you can actually, that you can get yourself.
Well, I mean, the old adage, people buy people. When you're showing somebody else having a fantastic experience that you'd like to have, it sure as eggs resonates more than saying, hey, come and win this prize. Like you can actually see what happens when you win the prize. So it kind of motivates you a little bit. So I like that idea. Maybe somebody will take that away and put it into their affiliate program as well. René, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on this podcast this week. Thank you so much for sharing your insights and expertise with us today. It's clear to me that community building and video content are essential components of successful crypto marketing. And you've given us some fantastic giveaways on how to approach these strategies effectively. And for our listeners, if you've enjoyed today's episode and you want to stay updated with the latest in digital marketing, crypto, and community building, be sure to subscribe and leave us a review. We'll be back soon with more amazing guests and discussions, but until then, keep innovating and building those communities, and thanks for tuning in.
That's a wrap for this week's Affiliate Marketing Podcast. If you're loving what we're putting down, why not head over to Apple iTunes and give us a 5-star review? Make sure to subscribe to our podcast and our YouTube channel so you never miss another insightful episode or one of our free webinars ever again. Tune in next week for more digital affiliate marketing insights, trends, tips, and content to keep your affiliate and performance marketing fresh and your partners driving consistent sales.